Hello and welcome to Newsroom series. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you so much for joining us. Our focus today is the northwest region of the country. But first, our top stories. Fuel queues are getting longer in Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, as the fuel scarcity bites even harder. Residents are feeling the pinch as they queue for long hours at some of the fuel stations open for business on Lagos Island, as well as the mainland areas of the state. Last Saturday, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says the tightness in fuel supply and distribution is caused by a hitch in the discharge operations of a couple of vessels. While the NNPCL says it's working around the clock with all stakeholders to resolve the issue and restore normalcy to its operations, motorists in Lagos expressed their unhappiness with the recurring decimal of fuel scarcity.
We just want to put it on the government or the right people in the position to do the needful and come to our aid, so that at least, being on the queue for 30 minutes or more than, it gives a lot of concern to the citizen, especially the traffic of a thing. Even the pedestrians, they are not comfortable. The motorists, they are not comfortable as well. So we are just putting on the government or the people in the right position to do the needful at the right thing at the right time.
I actually just came and I was fortunate to have seen a very less queue. I just joined. I actually bought on Saturday NNPC on Bobolaji Bakantoni Way in the Keja for 568. I joined the queue on Saturday. I spent over 3 hours before I could get fuel. I filled up my tank and my keg, and I'm about to fill up my tank again with my keg. I'm in a queue. It's painful, actually. It's pathetic. It's very, very painful that we find ourselves in this place.
The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is continuing with this consultative meeting with election stakeholders and today meeting with members of the civil society organizations. The commission started this round of consultative meetings on Monday with the leaders of political parties. The meetings have been slated to continue till Friday, when the commission will have met all critical stakeholders, including the media as well as security agencies. The objective is to bring the attendees up to speed with the preparations for the elections in Edo and Ondo State. Today's meeting with the CSOs is critical, as the civil society organizations will serve as election observer groups in the forthcoming elections. Now, ahead of the planned nationwide protest, the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Kade Egbetokun, is again reiterating the commitment and preparedness of the Nigeria Police Force to protect all peaceful protesters. The Inspector General of Police, who disclosed this at a meeting with heads of paramilitary agencies, says the police and other security agencies will be provided with body cams to monitor their activities. He explained that the security agencies will under no circumstances allow a repeat of the 2020 NSARS, where lives and property were lost. The meeting, which is currently holding behind closed doors, is being attended by heads of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Customs Service, Department of State Services, DSS, Nigeria Immigration Service, Nigeria Correctional Services, and Federal Road Safety Corps. The Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, Mr. Ahmed Abubakar Audi, has directed officers to show high professionalism as they monitor the planned nationwide protest. Speaking at a meeting with state commandants in Abuja, the Commandant General warns officials against intimidation and harassment of protesters. Meanwhile, more groups such as the Nigeria Youth Council and the Coalition of Former Niger Delta Agitators have pulled out of the planned nationwide protest.
The Commandant General of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is hosting this emergency meeting with state commandants of the Corps ahead of the planned nationwide protest. The essence of the meeting is to brief officials about their responsibilities regarding the protest.
So you must ensure that you do your job professionally. Do not molest or harass or intimidate any citizen.
However, several groups have continued to announce their withdrawal from the planned protest, citing fear of sabotage as one of the reasons for their decision.
After careful consideration and consultation with our members, stakeholders, and community leaders, we have decided not to engage in or endorse any form of protest at this time.
This protest is not about relieving hardship. It is all about envy and hatred for President Tinubu.
We are reeling from the experience of NSAS in 2020 and the attendant consequences, and we are saying Nigeria can no longer afford another set of destruction of its fragile infrastructure and facilities.
Meanwhile, the National Youth Council as well as the Southern Nigerian Youth Congress are of the opinion that the planned protest can further compound the country's economic situation. Nevertheless, they want the government to address the issues fueling the agitations.
We will not fold our hands to allow our dear country to catch fire, but we also communicate the pains of our people to the government of the day for them to look inward to easy and also douse the planned hunger protest that is ongoing.
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been responsive to the issues being raised and have taken actions to address them. We appeal to Nigerians to be patient and allow more time for the president to implement his economic recovery plan.
The groups recognize the right of Nigerians to protest and are hoping that those behind the decision will have a rethink. They also urge the relevant authorities to provide security for those willing to proceed with the demonstration.
You're watching Newsroom series. Please stay tuned for inauguration of the Southern Nigeria Traditional Rulers Council taking place in Imo State. You can watch that on our DSTV platforms as Newsroom series continues. The Kebbi State Police Command has warned against any acts of destruction or looting of critical infrastructure during the planned protests. The Kebbi State Commissioner of Police, Bello Sanim, gave the warning while addressing officers and heads of tactical operations at the headquarters of the command. According to the commissioner, to ensure a peaceful atmosphere during the nationwide protest, the state command has mobilized 5,000 officers and men in the state. The CP acknowledged the constitutional right of Nigerians to protest peacefully and warned against any acts of destruction or looting of critical infrastructure. The CP Sani Bello called on protest organizers to provide information on proposed routes and assembly points, expected duration of the protest, names and contact details of leaders, and measures to prevent hijacking by criminal elements.
And other security agencies will not hesitate to clamp down any group of people that might attempt to cause disturbance of public peace or unwanted destruction of critical public infrastructure in disguise of peaceful protests in Kebbi State. Consequently, threat analysis has been conducted, whereby the trouble areas, makers in the state has been identified. The police tactical team, in synergy with other security agencies, will be deployed with a view to forestalling any unforeseen circumstances. In the same vein, I want to call all groups planning for this peaceful protest to provide the command with the following details: proposed route and assembly point, accepted duration of the protest, name and contact details of leaders.
Staying with the planned nationwide protests to Katsina now, where Katsina groups under the aegis of Nigeria First Project Initiative have engaged critical stakeholders, mostly on the implication of the upcoming nationwide mass protest scheduled to hold on August 1st. Speaking in an interactive session with a theme, Say No to Confrontation, the group's Director, Research and Documentation, Bashir Dauda, announced that organizers of the protest are not yet known officially, not to talk of their sponsors or their philosophy. According to him, responsible citizens cannot afford to take the risk of joining the needless, in his words, implicative protests. He says the 2020 NSAS protest degenerated into violence due to poor leadership, resulting in loss of lives and property. The session had in attendance youth-based organizations, student unions, people with disabilities, women's groups, and human rights defenders.
Nigeria First Project Initiative. We are not in support of the upcoming nationwide strike because of the following reasons. First, we don't know even the organizers of this protest. We don't know their philosophy. We don't know their platform. We don't know who is behind them. Therefore, as responsible civil society organizations, we cannot take risk to join a faceless or leaderless protest because of the implications. We are all living witnesses to what happened during the NSAS protests in 2020, whereby because of the lack of leadership of that protest, it degenerated into violence.
We are here to engage, discuss with the critical stakeholders, particularly the youth groups, leaders of community-based organizations, leaders of some NGOs and civil society organizations, leaders of women groups, leaders of traders, leaders of different classes of business and activities. So we are here to engage with them, to educate them, to communicate with them effectively about the upcoming protest. Because majority of our people, they fail to understand the concept of protest.
Away from the planned nationwide protest, Governor Diko Rada of Katsina State has signed the state's 2024 supplementary budget into law with an adjusted figure of the sum of 27,399,967,819 naira. The governor, while receiving the budget from the State House of Assembly, led by the Speaker, Honorable Nasiru Daura, at the Council Chamber of the Katsina Government House, explained that the total budget hitherto presented by the state was in the sum of 481,708,830,120 naira 26 kobo. He therefore thanked members of the State Assembly for the passage of the budget in good time.
We shall witness the sign of the supplementary budget.
I'd like to say that the adjusted figure, that is the adjusted figure of the budget as an inflow is the sum of 27,399,967,898 naira. And the total budget we have for the state, including is at the sum of 481,708,830,120 naira 0.26 that has just been signed.
You're watching Newsroom series. When we come back, we look at the prevalence of head and neck cancers in Nigeria as we focus in the health sector. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Newsroom series. Medical experts have raised alarm over cases of head and neck cancer due to its increase in incidence and mortality rates in Nigeria, which is linked to high consumption of alcohol and tobacco in some cases. According to oncologists at the National Ear and Throat Care Center, Kaduna State, over 20% of cases of head and neck cancer are recorded in Nigeria annually, making it one of the most common types of cancer in the country. They attribute surge to ignorance and lack of early treatment of patients. Head and neck cancers are reported to make up 5 to 30% of all tumors in the human body in Nigeria, with a varying prevalence across different regions. These figures were derived from hospital-based studies by oncologists and published in ResearchGate and may represent only a tip of the iceberg of the real burden of disease. The World Head and Neck Cancer Day is aimed at creating awareness about the disease, its risk factors, symptoms, importance of early treatment, research, and support for patients.
Cancer is a scourge, like we all know. I would not want to preempt the guest speaker by reeling out the statistics, but we all know what head and neck cancer generally can be, and particularly as it concerns us here, the head and neck cancer, how it can really shorten the life of the individuals that it's affected, and not only shorten their life, but even the quality of life of those individuals that have been affected. And that is why in National Ear Care Center, Kaduna, we are marking this day to create awareness about the disease, not only what the sufferers are going through, but also what is available as treatment options for them.
Guest speaker, who is also an oncologist, Professor Sunday Adewuyi, identifies alcohol and tobacco use as two significant risk factors for head and neck cancer, with many victims ignorant of the health implications.
Cancer can affect any part of our body. Now, head and neck, Dr. Labayan said, is not what you can hide. Apart from that, it's disfiguring. It affects quality of life. It affects a lot. You see all sorts of things.
Multi-institutional studies by medical professionals reveal that 10 to 20% of head and neck cancer cases are recorded in Nigeria annually due to many factors. However, they say there is hope of survival for patients.
Head and neck cancers are cancers that usually affect hidden areas of the head and neck, within the nose, within the mouth, within the throat. So that is why a lot of times those cancers are being overlooked by people because of less, awareness, reduced education and all that. So a lot of times they are being treated as maybe common cold and things like that. So, and that usually prevents them from presenting to the hospital. So that is part of the reason why we're organizing this kind of event, so as to educate the populace and create awareness about the early signs and symptoms of those diseases, so that once people see them, they will seek for medical help.
In places where the health systems are robust, if cancer is caught early, in the very early stages, usually there are very many stages of cancer, from 1 to 4, some 5. So if it is caught early in stage 1 and even stage 2, there is a chance for cure. So when people have cancer, it is better that they present early rather than hiding it, thinking it is a death sentence.
According to the medical experts, the challenges facing the management of head and neck cancer in Nigeria include late presentation, financial paucity, poor social support system, and poor follow-up culture. The National Emergency Management Agency has held a public awareness campaign on proper waste management in Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria, distributing information, education, and communication material to people at the market and communities to mitigate the impacts of flooding in the state. The director of the agency, Zubaida Umar, met with community leaders and stakeholders in Gusau, the state capital, to make them aware of the need to have people know in their domain to avoid blocking waterways and clean up drainages to prevent flooding in the communities to save lives and property, saying the recent flood experiences in Zamfara was caused by dumping of refuse on waterways and in gutters.
Zamfara State was one of the states in the country that Nigerian Meteorological Agency had predicted would experience flooding, with 8 local government areas of the state being affected. The National Emergency Management Agency had conducted an assessment in 10 local government areas of Zamfara State which suffered flooding, with several numbers of households displaced, and the incident occurred due to blockage of waterways and poor attitudes to waste management. It is against this backdrop that the head of NEMA Sokoto office, Aliyu Shehu, led some of the staff to Zamfara State to sensitize communities on proper waste management and flood preparedness.
Flooding is one of the most frequent disasters that occur largely as a result of human interference with the nature. It results to loss of lives, injury, displacement, loss of means of livelihood, outbreak of diseases, among others. To this effect, it's essential and necessary to create public awareness in order to promote community information sharing on how to dispose waste in a sustainable manner and to mitigate flooding.
Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State, represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Garba Dauran, stated that addressing environmental challenges is not the responsibility of the government alone, but of everyone. Therefore, all hands must be on deck to ensure a flood-free Zamfara.
Our communities also know the addressing environmental challenges and the responsibility of all of us to not rely on government alone, but all hands shall be on our neck for proper solution to those environmental challenges. Finally, together we can clean our environment clean environment, in a healthy environment.
The acting permanent secretary, Ministry of Humanitarian, Disaster Management and Social Development, Bashir Mardun, and the district head of Gusau, Hassan Abdullahi, thanked NEMA for their concern and promised to take the message to their people to ensure they clean up drainages and properly manage waste to prevent flooding.
Highly welcome. I thank you all for being today with us, and I am optimistic that you will pay attention to hear, to listen attentively, and disseminate what will be discussed during the discussion, so that it will be it will go each and every nook and corner of the state across the 14 local government areas.
We came here for awareness creation on flood preparedness, and we have benefited from the sensitization campaign. We have been facing the problem of the flood. We thank God that NEMA invited us because we are the ones who are closer to the people when floods occur, and we are the first to be called upon. We would return home to see how we can prevent floods. By the grace of God, we will take preventive measures to stop people from dumping refuse on waterways, those who sell lands that are on waterways for people to build houses. Putting sand on the roads when rain falls would wash it away to block water from passing.
The NEMA officials earlier visited some markets to distribute information, education and communication materials to residents on keeping a clean environment, and they also conducted an assessment of Gadabaga community in Gusau local government area, which recently suffered flooding.
Finally, the federal government has urged stakeholders to collaborate to strengthen the capital market regulations as well as the Investment and Securities Tribunal for the economic development and growth of the country. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Waledu, noted this at an event organized by the Investment and Securities Tribunal in collaboration with the Faculty of Law, Bayero University, Kano. Mr. Edu was represented at that event by the Director of Finance of the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Ali Mohammed. Our correspondent, Nanchin Vincent, reports.
You have a partner in the NGX.
Senior members of the judiciary and members of the academia are part of the stakeholders gathered for this meeting to look at the legal profession and capital market regulation in Nigeria. The gathering seeks to explore the role of the legal profession in shaping the market and for efficient dispute resolutions to build trust and attract investors.
Investment is being increased in the country, and if that is done, definitely the revenue profile of the government and the general public will increase, and then employment also will be increased because there will be creation of more jobs, especially where you have an increase in the investment level. So this is part of the objective of the government.
The representatives of the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy then commissioned the facility that will host the Zonal Office of Investments and Securities Tribunal in Kano, the commercial hub of northern Nigeria.
Declare this particular edifice for the tribunal to use as an office space and where the court will be sitting for the glory of the Almighty and the benefits of the entire citizenry. Thank you.
The Investments and Securities Tribunal is extending this dispute resolution mechanism to other parts of the country to build a healthy economy.
When an investor or an operator has an issue, his matter will be expeditiously determined because the capital market actually is business. And so time, value, and money is the key. And so when people have problems and they cannot be judicially resolved within good time, it discourages investors from investing in the market. So the tribunal stands as one of the major investment incentive that government has for investors who are investing in this sphere of business, the capital market.
Stakeholders are confident that efficient dispute resolution will enhance productivity of the capital markets.
Confidence in the capital market is what the tribunal has come into being to install. Has been established to bring about confidence for those investing. People, a large number, bring their money and together and appoint a board of directors that are responsible for the day-to-day running. The board of directors employ professionals and others to run the show and create wealth.
The federal government is hoping that more investors will take advantage of this facility to resolve investment-related disputes. From Kano Commercial City, Nanchin Vincent, Channels Television News.
And that's it on Newsroom series today. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.